Welcome to Better Together, a podcast about the Southern Baptist Convention's cooperative program presented by SBC This Week. I'm Lawrence Smith. Well, church planting is a rewarding, but it certainly can be challenging. Our guests on this episode know that all too well. They know the value of gospel-focused relationships and partnerships. Vance Pitman is president of the Send Network, and Gracia is pastor of King City Church in Las Vegas. Good to see both of you.
Great to be here. And just so you know, it's Gracia, not Garcia. He gets it all the time, but it's Gracia.
Everyone. Yeah.
Thank you for correcting me on that.
Yes, sir.
It's good to be here.
Vance, you're among church planters, of course, on a regular basis, but most Southern Baptists are not. So help Southern Baptists understand the benefits of cooperation, of the cooperative program when it comes to church planting.
Yeah, so the reality is one church, no matter how successful, can't reach a city or accomplish the mission by itself. It requires the multiplication of the church. And so the beauty of what the SBC's done through cooperation and collaboration is by coming together, we're able to do more than we could do by ourselves. One church can't reach a city by itself. So as we partner together, we're able to multiply. So it's an opportunity to join in the big picture. The other reality is all churches have life cycles. They're born, they live, and they die. They're not going to live forever, but the kingdom of God's eternal. And as we join in the multiplication of the church, we're seeing God's kingdom expand in cities and nations around the world. We're investing in that which is eternal. So for so many reasons, it's critical that every church engage in multiplication.
You're experiencing this firsthand, Christian. Talk about why partnerships with, churches and state associations and Send Network, why all that is important to what you're doing.
It changes everything. I mean, on one end, the partnerships and connections with guys who are either ahead of me or where I am right now, other planters, churches that I can call at any moment. I mean, I got a list of 5 to 10 guys that I know I can text and call at any moment in the day, and they'll respond, they'll encourage me, they'll take my questions, they'll hear my complaints, and it'll just help you feel like you're not alone in it. And when you're in planting, I think that's the biggest thing that guys feel is, where do I go? What do I do when I don't know what to do? And you'll feel that. So on one end, I think that support is just an absolute game changer. On the other end, the ability for us to tell our church when they're giving to us and we're giving to the cooperative program to say, hey, just so you know, we say it every week in my church, you're not just giving us something that's happening here in our zip code, but things that are happening around our nation and our world. So it gives them an understanding of the huge picture of the kingdom of God and helps, I think, them have a compelling vision for why we're doing what we're doing. We're trying to reach our city, but we're also understanding it's much bigger than just our city as well. So for those 2 reasons alone, I think it changes everything.
Now, how old is your church plant?
We just completed 9 months of ministry.
And how's it going so far?
It's going wonderful, man. We've baptized about 30 people. We got 20 more people who need to be baptized. About 300 people are coming every week. And so God's been incredibly kind. And we just keep trying to tell them that it's bigger than just what's happening right here. And they're responding well.
And so, I was going to say, Lawrence, the beauty of church planting is you get to invest in something that's going to outlive you. So my family 25 years ago relocated to Las Vegas to plant a church. When we did, my children were 7, 5, and 3 years old. They've grown up in a church plant. They've grown up in church planting. And now the church that Christian, he married my daughter, and the church that they're planting is being sent out of the church that we planted 25 years ago. When my family went to plant, we had no idea that our kids would one day be planting. Our grandchildren are now attending the daughter church of a church that we planted 25 years ago. And so when churches catch the vision for this, it's just so much bigger than anything we could do on our own. And so collaboration and cooperation, that's not just an SBC thing. It's the spirit of the New Testament ethos.
That's good.
When Paul was writing all of his letters, often he would write to one church how they could partner and collaborate with another church in the advancement of the gospel. What the SBC does through cooperation and collaboration is really walking in the footsteps of the early church and seeing the kingdom of God expand.
Yeah.
You have a serious vested interest in this, don't you?
I do have a vested interest in this, without question.
But talk about the importance of why as far as church planting. Why is that necessary to plant churches across North America?
Yeah. Jesus gave us a great commission. And the Great Commission is not go and start church services. And it's also not go and grow attendances in church service. The Great Commission is to go and make disciples of all nations. And church planting is it's the best means of seeing disciples made in cities. A lot of people think church planting is to start a church service, but church planting begins by engaging a city with the gospel, seeing disciples made, and then Jesus births his church. And I'll give you two stats to kind of, in Canada last year, Canada had more churches planted in one 12-month period than any time in the history of Canada. And 50% of all the baptisms in Canada happened in churches that had been planted since 2010. In the state of California, church plants make up about 7% of the churches in California, but they were 22% of the baptisms that happened in California. So where you see church planting, you see disciples being made and the mission of God being accomplished. You literally cannot accomplish the mission of God without thinking multiplication of disciples in churches. There is no plan B.
Yeah.
You touched on this earlier, Christian, but talk about the benefits of being part of this network, being part of the cooperative program, benefits to you as a church planter, which, as I said earlier, can be very challenging.
Yeah. I mean, like I said before, I think the partnerships that you get, not only those that support you, financially with resources, but relationally. That's been the biggest thing for me, is just being able to talk to guys at any time about questions that I have. Because you get into this and you really get into a network of people that feel like a family. So you're not just trying to go on your own. You're not a lone wolf missionary. You come from a church and you have other churches behind you. And I think the emotional relational support is what will keep you afloat. You can go through a lot of lows and a lot of valleys if you have the right people around you. So I think that is the biggest thing for me. And then also just, again, helping the church understand when you cast vision to the church, when they ask why you do what we do, why you give certain monies away, to help them see the need and to celebrate what happens. You can just see in their eyes when it clicks, when they see it, when they learn of these things. So you just have a privilege and a blessing of helping people understand the greater picture of the kingdom.
Christian alluded to this, Lawrence, but church planting is the highest high and the lowest low in the same 24-hour period over and over and over again. And when church planters like Christian know that there's a convention of 50,000 churches that are holding the ropes for them, not just financially, but emotionally, prayer support, spiritual. When they know that there's an army behind them, it puts wind in their sails on those really difficult days to continue to move forward.
Important point you made. It's more than financial resources. It's prayer and moral support, if nothing else, right?
Yes.
If a man believes he is called to plant a church, or perhaps a church believes it is called to plant another church, what should the first steps be? What steps should they take?
Yeah. So if it's an individual who believes God's calling them, the first thing I would encourage you to do is have that conversation with your local church. I believe one of the ways that a church planter identifies the call of God on their life is the affirmation of the local church where you are right now. And if that church affirms that, then we have an entire process at Send Network where we'll bring you through an assessment process so that we'll walk with the sending church. Because here's the other thing that's important. Networks don't plant churches. Denominations don't plant churches. Churches plant churches. And so we exist to serve the local church through assessment, training, coaching, funding. And so when you have the affirmation of your local church, reach out to us. Now, if it's a church that wants to engage in planting, we have at Send Network what we call the mobilization pathway. The mobilization pathway is built for churches that maybe they're just cooperating right now. They're giving some money to our funds, which is a huge benefit. But we want cooperating churches to become supporting churches, which are churches that are also sending teams and they're praying for plants specifically. But we want supporting churches to become sending churches, churches that are holding the ropes. They're the sending church for a church plant. We want sending churches to become multiplying churches, which are churches that have a 12-month residency to raise up planters from within their fellowship. And so wherever that church finds themselves on that spectrum, we have a process of sending labs, residency builders, multiplying cohorts, where we can walk with a local church wherever you are to take your next step on the journey. So either one, the planter or that church, could reach out to us through sendnetwork.com. We'd be happy to walk alongside.
You've been at this just a few months. Christian, how can Southern Baptists be praying for your church plant?
I think he alluded to earlier, there's not a better season for a church than when you first plant to reach the lost. And so for me, I would just continue to pray that God would help raise up laborers so that we can reap a harvest that's in our city and communities, and people have a fire to do so, to leverage their lives to do that, to not lose sight of it. Just because we have some success right now, some people can think, oh, you've arrived, you made it. And it's like, no, we got to keep the foot on the gas pedal and go, go, go. And so I would just pray that we would continue to keep our eyes on Jesus, on the mission at hand, and that he would continue to do what only he can do.
Thank you both. Nice
Thank
talking
you.
to
Thank
you.
you, Lawrence.
And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time as we continue to explore all the reasons why Southern Baptists are indeed better together through the cooperative program.